I'm thinking 1920 some of these houses.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet that these properties here are easily $1.5 million and up. A very simple yet effective plan in order to automate your finances. You don't have to invest in, you know, the stock market. You don't have to invest in SCHD or VOO or Apple stock or any of these stocks. There are other ways of building wealth over time. Unfortunately, most people find themselves in a situation where they're living paycheck to paycheck and they can't break the system, they can't break the cycle simply because there's no money left to invest. All of their money is, as soon as it hits the bank account, we got rent, credit card bills, car payment, cell phone bills, gas, water, utilities, cable bill, gym membership, all these streaming services, and basically food, like the list goes on and on and on. Insurance. And when you have a financial situation where you don't have, you know, at least 10% of your money available to be able to invest in the stock market or starting a business or a side hustle or anything like that, good luck ever getting out of the rat race. And you will forever be in a situation that I found myself in for a very long time, which is being a slave to the job that I worked at. Is this thing on? Testing, 1, 2. Nah, seriously. Yo, just literally had an amazing lunch here.
And today's Saturday.
Cheat day.
Cheat day.
Well, maybe not cheat day, cheat meal.
Yeah.
And we worked hard all week, worked on our businesses, destroyed the gym today. And
we got a treat.
We got a treat. You know, today was a cheat meal, not a whole cheat day, but we're just enjoying it. But, you know, just sitting here really watching the traffic go by. Let me show you guys. This reminded me of when I used to like see very expensive cars driving by in like baller neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I used to think like, oh, if you have like an expensive car, that you're like rich, right? Or like you're wealthy. Did you ever think anything like that?
Always.
Like, yo, do you see what that dude drives? And it's like, where I grew up, what you drove would be equated to your wealth, right? Or how successful in life you are. But thankfully, through different experiences and actually meeting successful people who are actually really, really doing phenomenal things financially, I learned that there was a lot of lies. And I actually learned the truth that a lot of millionaires and the wealthy use on a regular basis to their advantage. And I was like literally dead broke until I discovered this truth, and just chilling, like eating, really inspired me to want to make this video and to share some of the things that I learned over the years. You ready to go?
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
Yeah, the food was amazing. But now let's try to walk it off a little bit. But what I learned over the years is that, number one, what you drive does not dictate your success in life. And if you are surrounding yourself with people who make you feel inferior because of what you drive, what you wear, how you dress, maybe you want to reevaluate those friends, perhaps. And I'm not telling you how to live your life, but I'm just thinking from my own perspective. Hey.
Huh?
I'm just thinking from my own perspective.
Down that road.
Which way?
To the left.
All right.
But less sun.
Yeah, it's a little sunny out here. But I'm just thinking, like, from my own perspective, that if I hang out with people who make me feel bad because, you know, I don't drive something super flashy or something, you know, really, really nice, maybe those aren't the best friends for me. And that's just something I discovered. And anyway, so lifestyle creep. One thing that I learned about, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard about lifestyle creep, or maybe before I even talk about lifestyle creep.
Ooh, I like that.
You like what?
That car.
What was it? A Macan? I think that was a Porsche Macan. The black one?
No. The black one was the X6.
Oh,
X5?
the X6. I think it was the X6 and BMW.
Yeah.
But anyway, where was I? So anyway, let's talk about this lifestyle creep first off, right? So one of the things I realized was that, you know, a lot of times lifestyle creep is basically an inflation, and it refers to the tendency of people to basically increase their spending as their income increases, right? And usually speaking, as middle class individuals earn more money, they often start spending more on discretionary items like eating out. It's super expensive handbags, very expensive vacations, you know, just basically balling out of control, very expensive cars, bigger, ridiculous houses. And don't get me wrong, I like nice things. I will be the very first person to tell you that. But not to the extent that those nice things begin to control me. And this is one habit that basically virtually like destroys the middle class and keeps the middle class in the middle class and prevents them from ever becoming wealthy. And for me, it kept me broke. And this also limits your ability to save and invest in your future, right? So, you know, good luck investing in the S&P 500 or any of your favorite stocks like Apple or Amazon or Tesla, SCHD, VOO, name your favorite investment. Good luck investing in real estate when your debt to income ratio is ridiculous, right? Good luck investing in anything that could yield a good return on your investment when all of your free cash flow from your job, from your paycheck, is allocated to living expenses. And this is exactly what the wealthy don't fall victim to. But unfortunately, most people find themselves in a situation where they're living paycheck to paycheck and they can't break the system, they can't break the cycle simply because there's no money left to invest. All of their money is, as soon as it hits the bank account, we got rent, credit card bills, car payment, cell phone bills, gas, water, utilities, cable bill, gym membership, all these streaming services, and basically food, like the list goes on and on and on. Insurance. And when you have a financial situation where you don't have, you know, at least 10% of your money available to be able to invest in the stock market or starting a business or a side hustle or anything like that, good luck ever getting out of the rat race. And you will forever be in a situation that I found myself in for a very long time, which is being a slave to the job that I worked at. Now, I still work a job today, but thankfully I've put myself in a position where I don't need the job, but it pays well and it's very easy to do and I can do it remotely. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to just walk away from free money, right? But the real way to break free is to create multiple streams of income. Ideally, continue to increase your income and not increase your living expenses as you're doing it. Now, I'm not saying don't try to like live better. Please, you know, improve your lifestyle, like, you know, take care of your family. Don't save every dollar you ever made and not spend anything, right? Like we it's okay to spend a little bit, right?
Just a little bit.
So, but you know, most Americans find themselves, you know, struggling with high housing costs, student loan payments, maybe healthcare expenses, transportation costs. Think about it. Like I was reading somewhere the other day, the number of people who are riding around here in the United States driving cars with car payments that are greater than $1,000 a month is just asinine to me.
Man.
Especially when I look at the fact that most people, statistically speaking, don't have the money set aside to be able to handle an unexpected $1,000 emergency. But yet we have a growing population riding around in $1,000 per month car payments. Yeah, And the other crazy thing is that there's so many people who are now riding around with $1,000 car payments, and the number of months, the length of time that these car loans exist, 84 months, 100 months is just ridiculous, right? So I wanted to share with you guys some of the really shocking facts that I discovered, after hanging out with millionaires, that really just changed my perspective on life and how I handle money and how to not get gamed by the system, right? So number one, first and foremost, some of the wealthiest people I've ever met, you never would even realize that they're wealthy by looking at them. Like, some people you would, but most of them you would have no clue, right? And they prioritize certain things over other things. So for example, they're always investing wisely. Wealthy individuals, they tend to prioritize investing in assets like stocks, real estate, and businesses. And these things allow their money to grow over time. And they're more focused on capital appreciation than they are looking like, someone who's prepared to flex on the gram and stunt on their friends. And they're not influenced by the media telling them, oh, you gotta spend, what is it, 3 months, 6 months salary on an engagement ring. You gotta spend all this ridiculous, like why? It's funny, like I remember growing up, we had friends who were getting married, and we were just kind of like, we were all just kids, but they were some of our earlier friends to first get married, and some of them put on these elaborate weddings, and
they were nice.
Oh, they were very nice.
We took advantage of that.
Oh yeah, we took advantage of it.
Yeah.
Thank God we didn't have to pay for it. But it was like, how much does this thing cost? And then we thought about it, and we ended up getting some figures. And some of our friends who ended up getting married with these elaborate weddings, $25,000, $30,000 weddings back in like the year 2000.
Well, one of them was 80.
80?
I won't mention.
80,000?
I won't mention names.
Okay. I didn't even. No, we don't need names.
Yeah.
I didn't know, and I think I know who you're talking about. I had no idea it cost that much, and that was back in 2000.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, this is more like 2004 probably, but still, that today, 80 grand from 04 today is probably like $140,000.
They went into credit card debt just to do a wedding. I don't know.
That's just wild as heck to me. Like, I mean, and so after we saw that, I had thankfully an open-minded wife who wasn't easily influenced by the Joneses.
Yeah, no.
That the middle class generally gets influenced by. And, because easily, I heard the girls talking, different girls talking, and how amazing this wedding was. But I was like, yo, you could have put a significant down payment on a house, or you could have invested the money, which they didn't, because they ended up going back home to live in the basement of their mother's house for the next several years, as they worked on paying down that very expensive party, formerly known as a wedding. And that's the thing, like, don't get me wrong, weddings are cool.
Are beautiful, but I guess everyone has their own definition of, a lavish wedding. You don't have to spend so much money on a wedding.
How do we do it?
To make it, well, we just went to the courthouse, got married, and then we went home and had some pizza.
Clearly we like pizza.
Exactly, we just had some pizza. Yeah, that was our wedding, and it was great. I mean, all I needed was you.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah, I don't need no one else to validate our relationship or to be like, oh wow. No, I don't care.
All right, so this is actually, you bring up a good point. This is not even something I was planning on talking about, but this is something that I wish someone had told me when I was younger, but luckily things worked out for me. Picking a good life partner. Let me rephrase. Picking your life partner can be the greatest investment or the worst investment you can ever make in your life.
That's true.
If you pick, like, this is my life partner. if I happen to pick someone who didn't have similar values as I did, from a personal finance standpoint, from a raising of children standpoint, like when your values are drastically different, and trust me, we didn't see eye to eye when it came to money, but
Yeah.
thankfully she was willing to listen, be educated. We had many conversations.
Yes.
That didn't go so well.
Yeah.
But eventually we got to a point where it's like, hey, we can make this thing work. This is the plan. Let's do our best to stick to it. And of course, eventually you get off track a little bit, but if you can get back on track. But the key is, if you are married to someone who disagrees with your stance when it comes to something that's very important to you, such as finances, good luck ever becoming rich or becoming financially independent.
True.
Good luck retiring early, because you can always outspend your income. I don't care how much money you make. You can make 400 grand a year and still be broke. Look at Mike Tyson. So thankfully Mike Tyson's doing a lot better now financially, but he's just a great example. And so that is really, really important in my opinion. Another discovery is that, and I discovered this a while ago, but through reading multiple books, multiple streams of income. Typically, the average millionaire has a minimum of 3 income streams. And depending upon what research study you read, they may have on average an average of up to 7 streams of income. Now, the rich will often diversify income sources, such as owning multiple businesses or investments, and they prioritize increasing their earning potential. So increasing their earning potential remains a primary focus for them, right? And that might include investing in themselves, investing in their own education, learning some new skill that would increase their ability to demand a higher salary or be able to charge higher fees in whatever line of work that they happen to be in. The other thing about these wealthy individuals is they have this long-term perspective. Like, wealthy people tend to really focus on long-term financial goals, and it really allows them to, allows their investments to compound and grow steadily. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't share this information with you guys. There are some books that literally just completely shifted my focus, shifted the way I look at life and finances. One of them, and it's probably the very first financial book I ever read, and I don't even remember. I'm literally trying to remember how I discovered this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
I knew you were going to say that.
Really? Dude, like, this is like one of the most transformational books. Did you ever read that book?
I think I read some of it, because early on in our relationship, you were reading that. And that was years ago.
Dude, I was like probably 18.
Yeah.
I'm 18 years old reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah. Nobody else was reading that. No one that I knew. And I still to this day, I wish I knew how I discovered that book. Anyway, so Rich Dad Poor Dad is this classic must-read book that really just kind of contrasts the financial philosophies of the author's Rich Dad and the author's Poor Dad. And this road is kind of like jacked up. So I'm trying not to bust my butt on this camera here. I don't know if you guys can see how bad this road is. Or I mean the sidewalk. Yeah. Yeah, so it just really emphasizes the importance of financial education and assets over liabilities. And unfortunately, in our society, if you look at Instagram all day long, you're looking at social media, like, there's so many distractions out here, and they will have you thrown off track thinking that, have you chasing these liabilities that don't make you any money. And Rich Dad Poor Dad really just changed my perspective on earning, investing, being a business owner. There's this thing called the quadrant. Forget, is it the cash flow quadrant? Yeah. So it's like there's like 4 corners: 25%, 25%, 25%, right? And so you can either be an employee, limited earning potential, limited earning capacity. You can be a business owner. Excuse me. You can be self-employed, which has greater flexibility, greater freedoms. You could be an investor, or you could be a business owner. Or a fifth option would be any combination of those 4 quadrants. The thing, though, is if you remain an employee only, it will significantly stifle your ability to really live the lifestyle that I think that most people want to live in terms of time flexibility, being able to travel, spend more time with their family, and just live a happier lifestyle. So I also read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. That was a really helpful book to me, because when I was dead broke, I literally was trying to figure out, what do I do? Like, how do I get out of this mess? How do I get to where I think I want to be? Which was, I didn't want to be rich necessarily, but I wanted to be good with money, as they say. I wanted to be able to take multiple trips a year, and I wanted to be able to drive a nice car and not have a car payment on it. Like, I didn't really have huge aspirations, but I knew that the financial situation that I was in, living paycheck to paycheck, boatloads of credit card debt, and multiple car payments, was not the life that I wanted to live. This book, The Total Money Makeover, really helped me to put my thoughts together and devise a plan that I was able to execute, that we were able to execute. And now we pretty much live debt free, with the exception of our mortgages, which, we could pay them off if we choose to, but they're less than 3% interest. So it's like, why would I do that? I will easily reinvest that cash into investments that pay us well over 5% interest. So it's literally like getting paid to borrow money. So there's that.
You want to turn around?
You want to cross the street?
Okay. They have some nice houses in this
Yeah,
road.
these houses are nice.
They're completely different from one another.
Yeah, it's like, I think some of these houses are, maybe 1920s. I'm thinking 1920, some of these houses.
Yeah.
Bungalow style. And I'm willing to bet that these properties here are easily $1.5 million and up, even though they're not necessarily on huge plots of land, and they're not necessarily very big houses. But this is the state of the real estate market. And these are the types of assets that the wealthy will put their money into. Real estate has a tendency to be worth more as time goes on, and this pattern has not been broken in like thousands of years. So it's very likely that that pattern will probably continue. Interest rates will have some type of short-term effect on real estate valuations and appreciation rates, but at the end of the day, 10 years from now, chances are these properties will be worth even more then than they are today. 10 years from that point, they will likely be worth even more, and so on and so forth. But yeah, so then you got Millionaire Next Door. This was by Tom Stanley, and William Danko. And so this book is basically going into the habits and the characteristics of America's millionaires, and it debunks the very common misconceptions that most people have about wealth building. And this was very, very incremental, very crucial for me to have read this book, because it completely shifted how I felt about wealth. It let me realize that, hey, millionaires aren't necessarily these flashy people at the stoplight driving in a $150,000 car. And this completely shifted my understanding. In fact, I think in the book, it said that the average millionaire drove I want to say it was like a Ford pickup truck. Now, does it mean that the average person, what does that actually tell us though? Does the average millionaire drive a Ford pickup truck because that's a desirable vehicle, or is it simply a matter of the law of large numbers, where it's like, hey, Ford just happens to sell a crap load of trucks, so by sheer volume alone, it could just stand to reason that the likelihood that that particular individual would end up driving a Ford pickup truck is simply for the fact that they sell so many of them. There's a greater chance that a millionaire might own it. Here's another thing. Maybe millionaires own maybe millionaires own or drive F-150 pickup trucks, or I don't know if it was F-150s or F-250s, F-350s, whatever, Super Duties and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure it was a Ford pickup truck. But maybe it's because these business owners, they have businesses, and maybe they bought a lot of these Ford trucks to run their businesses. Maybe they're not driving them personally all that much. Who knows? But food for thought. I just want to share that with you guys. And definitely check out The Automatic Millionaire. Like The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. This book pretty much outlines a very simple yet effective plan in order to automate your finances and to save consistently and to build wealth over time, even on a modest income. Now, you don't have to invest in, the stock market. You don't have to invest in SCHD or VOO or Apple stock or any of these stocks. There are other ways of building wealth over time. But to me, these are some of the simplest ways to get started. Now, I wish someone taught me this earlier, but and maybe I'm just a little bit slow. But the focus should have been, for me, more focus on increasing my income versus trying to find the exact, the best ETF or the best stock to invest in, which happens to have the most attractive dividend rate, or which stock or which ETF has the best dividend growth rate. Maybe my focus should have been, in fact, I know my focus should have been on increasing my income, because let's just say with a little bit of research, you can find investments that are paying you, say, 10% per year, maybe not even 10%. Let's just say 8%, right? So you have investments that are paying you 8% in the stock market with minimal research. You're able to do 8%, right? I mean, heck, if you just invested in the S&P 500, ticker symbol VOO, which is an ETF by Vanguard, they have on average produced at least 8% over the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So that would have solved your problem right there. I spent a lot of time researching and learning about trading stocks and candlesticks and trading patterns and whatnot, right? But to me, the real focus should have been, how do we increase this income? Because while spending many, many days, weeks, hours, months researching, trying to find the best return from my investment in the stock market, which might have increased my yield by maybe an extra 2 points, maybe 3%, right? Instead, I could have focused on increasing my income. And by doing that, I would have, assuming I didn't suffer from lifestyle creep, would have been able to increase my available cash flow, which could then be used to invest in my 8% investments. So just imagine, you make 40 grand a year, and after, 40, 50 grand a year, but after you've paid all your living expenses, how much money do you have left to invest? In most cases, not a whole heck of a lot. In my opinion, you're way better off figuring out how to double your income to make 100 grand a year. to make $150,000 a year, to make $200,000 a year, but still live like you're making $40,000 or $50,000 per year. That is the secret, guys. The wealthy do not get a $50,000 raise and increase their lifestyle by $50,000. That will keep you a slave to the financial system. That is not how to win. If I increase my income by $50,000, I'm probably only going to increase my lifestyle by $5,000 at the most. Why do I need to increase my lifestyle so drastically? It makes no sense. Unless I'm trying to keep up with something, or unless I'm living in poverty, and then, you know, it's like, hey, I need to increase my lifestyle drastically because I live in unsafe conditions. But if I'm not in that situation, like, why would you do that? Like, for me, the goal was passive income, financial freedom, and how do we pull this off as quickly as possible? How do we no longer need a job that we have to report to on Monday? Because if you're like me, you hated waking up on Monday morning, or even worse, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Depression starts setting in because you think about the fact that you got to go to this place that you don't necessarily want to go to in the morning at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to sit in traffic, but you know it's coming. So for me, I focused on getting myself out of that situation. It's very unpleasant for me. Again, if you love your job, if you love sitting in traffic, if you like getting up early, then none of this really applies to you. But for me, I hated it. And this is why I spent so much time building, you know, small businesses. Why I decided to really study and figure out how to create an online business, an online company that would free me from the 9 to 5 that I so desperately needed to get away from. And don't get me wrong, I still have a regular job, but cool thing is pays well. I don't have to do much, and I don't have to be there. If I had to be there, I would have been quit. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to share some of those tips with you. If you happen to be struggling, trying to find your way, I really hope that this video helps you in some way. Don't fall for the trap. Don't fall for the trap, guys. The goal of most of these businesses is to get your money, get you to buy something. But any money that you spend on buying something is money that cannot be invested. So what would I do? I would always invest in my education. I'm always looking for new opportunities. How do I build my business? How do I increase my business's revenue? And how do I help others? I'm putting together some material for you guys that I'm going to share with you for free that I think will help out a lot of people. I'm gonna do my best to remember to leave a link for that free material to kind of help you start a YouTube channel that could literally change your life. Imagine, I don't know if you want to start a YouTube channel, maybe you want to start an online business of some other, in some other field, but just imagine generating an extra $5,000 a month, maybe an extra $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week from your side hustle that takes minimal time from you. I just want you to think about it. How much would that change your life if you had an extra $2,000 in income coming in to you fairly regularly outside of your 9 to 5 job? If that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out the links in the description down below this video. I want to share some free content with you guys. I'll do my best to remember to put a link, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like. If you hated the video, hit the thumbs down. Let's keep it real. I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.